Hello and welcome to this episode of Learning Photography. Over the past 19 episodes, we've covered most of the aspects that you need to be aware of when you want to take control of your camera. In the first several episodes, we took a look at light and examined how light is the main component of your photographs and what controls your camera gives you so that you can control that light depending on what you want as an outcome. We demonstrated how you can, for example, make an image darker or lighter depending on what outcome you really want. In other words, we looked at creative exposures as opposed to correct exposures. And in episode 9, we considered how sometimes your camera just gets it wrong and how you can work with that so that the image is the way you want it to look. That brought us to the point where we discussed how your goal needs to be to make images that you like, images that they're coming out the way you want them to come out, not just the way the camera gives them to you and then you had to accept them. To accomplish that, we demonstrated in episode 13 how you have to decide which control you want to take control of. In other words, what do you need to do to get the outcome that you desire in your images? The three things I suggest you consider before you even put the camera up to your eye is depth of field, motion in the scene, and resolution of the image, the resulting image that you make. Depending on which of these three elements is most important to you, you have to decide whether you are going to control how wide the aperture is open or closed, how fast the shutter speed is, and the resolution of your overall image. In other words, whether you're going to allow ISO to be raised even though it may affect the resolution of your image. If this intrigues you, if you, for example, do want to still take control of your images and you're still watching these videos, then stick with me for the next several episodes where we put it into practice. And practice is the key word because that's what we're going to do in the next several episodes. Remember back when you were learning to drive a car. You'll remember being scared to death. You get in the car with someone who's going to help you learn how to drive. You've got the proper documentation, of course, and everything. And you're still scared, but you're able to ask questions. The person who's helping you is advising you on things to do and be careful of. And that's the first step. And we've gone through those steps now. You've learned the basics of photography. You've learned how light affects the outcome of your images. Back to the driving example, you eventually got a little bit more relaxed. You still were driving with someone else, but they kept quiet maybe. But you could ask them questions. You got to the point where you were, some things were just habit now. You looked in all the windows, you looked in the rear view mirror, the side view mirrors, before you even started up the car out of the driveway or out of its parking place. You went to an intersection, you looked all ways. This was just automatic to you because you'd become more accustomed to these responsibilities that you have as a driver. And so it is with a camera. You now have the tools to apply to take control of your images. You just need to practice doing it. And just as with the car analogy, you eventually were very confident and you were really excited about going out on your own on a solo drive. You were still scared, but you were really excited about it. And this excitement and exhilaration lasted until you had a question you couldn't answer. So in your photography journey here, we're kind of at that point of I know what I'm going to do, but could you come along and help me? So in the following episodes, we're going to go out with our cameras and we're going to put ourselves in different situations, and on the spot we're going to decide what's important, A, and what do we need to control in our camera to get that result. And through that practice over and over, a lot of it's going to be repetition, repetition, repetition. You are going to become more comfortable solo driving your camera and knowing exactly what you want to do and knowing when you might want to change your modes. Maybe you want to switch to program mode, but you're going to try to stay in manual mode because that's where you have the most control. Maybe you are in a situation, as I explained in that episode, where you just want to make sure you get the shot. Well, auto's okay. But because auto can sometimes pop up the flash, you might use program instead. So I'd say auto's off limits, program is okay. Shutter priority, aperture priority, and manual are your friends. So follow along with me on these next several episodes, but most importantly, stand up, grab your camera, take the lens cap off, turn it on, and work with me. And you practice over and over again these things, and I guarantee you, you will become a better photographer and more confident in making images. But most important, remember, stay in control of your camera. Thanks very much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the first Out With Your Camera episode. Goodbye.